Okay guys, welcome to the training arena with the new hero in For Honor, known as Afeera. She is the third Outlander hero to come to the game. She is our first Arabian hero, and her weapon of choice is a mace, and she also has a shield as well. She is classed as a hybrid character, and her difficulty is hard. Her description also reads that she is a mix-up intensive character, and she also has relentless rushdown. Now personally, I think the animation team have done an insane job with this character. I think her animations really stand out. She's got some really sleek acrobatic moves. She can dance all over the place, as well as putting in a lot of damage and a lot of unblockables, as well as some very unique properties that we'll talk about as well to finish off your enemies in style. So we're going to look at the basic moveset, then I'm going to show you some advanced moves, then I'm also going to talk about her max punishes for things like light parries, heavy parries, and out of stamina punishes. Now, normally you'd think a light parry would just be a heavy punish, and a heavy parry you'd get a light from it, but she has a few quirky differences which I think you'll be interested to know. She can wall splat and do some other things and get a huge amount of damage from quite a simple read, so it's going to be quite interesting to talk about. We have our bot here, of course, who is going to be our training dummy for this session, and towards the end we'll also do things like looking at executions, general animations, as well as we're going to do a duel scenario where you can see how a mirror match might play out with this character, and I can tell you it is pretty insane, and you might need to have a break when playing her, because it's intense is not the word to describe it, more like immensely chaotic. But anyway, let's go over to our bot friend here and say hello in stylish Afeera fashion. So, first things first, she has a 2-hit chain. She has 4 different versions of this, and they're quite simple. So we have Star Shock, which is R1, R1. Then we have Star Quake, which is R1, R2. And then Cosmic Rays, which is R2, R1. And then, you guessed it, we've got Cosmic Collapse, which is R2, R2. Now, for you eagle-eyed viewers, you may see that there are some different damage values as well as different properties depending on which follow-up heavy you use in that chain. So, if you do a follow-up heavy from the top, it is undodgeable, shown there by a little blue animation effect that goes around your weapon there. I'll show it again. Like that, which means if they dodge, it's still going to hit. Then if you do a follow-up heavy from the right-hand side, it's going to be unblockable. So if they have their guard that side, it doesn't matter, it's still going to hit through it. And then if you do it from the left-hand side, I'm just going to change this bot's guard over to the right so that we can actually hit her. And then turn it off. If you hit her from the left-hand side, it's going to knock her to the right. So let's do light and then left-hand heavy. And this can also wall splat as well. So if you listen closer, you'll hear the wall splat sound as she hits the wall to my right. See that? That means she's stunned, and you can also get some more hits off if you hit her again. So I'll show that again quickly. You can then hit her and she can't defend herself. We'll, as I said, we'll get into max punishes and things in a sec, but that is just the general properties for now. Also, just a quick note, her animations on her blocking, I think, looks really nice. This was mentioned in the dev stream on the release of this character. It's a nice little swirl she does when you go to top, and then left and right, which could throw off a few people just by changing stance. It's quite indicative, I guess, of where she's going to go, but it's a nice little touch, a nice little attention to detail, I think, anyway. So then, next moves. Let's go to the movesets here. So those are the first 4. Next one is basically her forward dodge heavy, then the side dodge heavy, then her neutral bash, and then the follow-up kick after a chain starter. So forward dashing heavy is called Stampeding Gazelle. Looks a little bit like that. Has fairly decent range. That distance is about the limit there, so yeah, it's not quite going to hit the diameter of that circle there. But she has chase, which means that if people are running away, which I think, by the way, people are probably going to be running away from her, at least in the first few weeks, then she can chase you. She also has a dodge heavy as well, which looks like this, which is Leaping Gazelle. And even if they block it, you can still follow up with the chain like that. so she can dodge away from you. Then she has Knockout Punch, which is neutral bash. You have to be walking backwards and then pressing your guard break button in order for it to work. So this is me walking backwards, and boom. I'll show it again, walking backwards, a square, and boom. Of course, if I'm standing still and press it, it's just going to be a GB. If I'm walking to the left, just going to be a GB. To the right, just going to be a GB. And walking forward, you guessed it, going to be a GB. But if we walk backwards, of course, there we go. The next thing is well, I should actually mention it. If I'm out of lock and I'm all the way over here, this is the move I did right at the beginning, and I do that, she will keep running, basically. Or if you're locked on there, she will keep running until she hits the enemy there. And she has full block when she does that as well. So if people are attacking you while she does that, then they're not going to be able to hit you unless it's unblockable. So that's what her relentless rushdown is, if you were wondering from earlier. So the Kasaki kick is the next thing. So after any chain starter but the knockout punch, which is the move we just did, you can then press square and then she'll do a follow-up kick. So obviously if I do the knockout punch and then press square again, it's not going to do anything. But if I do a light or a heavy, press square, then she's going to kick him. She will kick him, indeed. So heavy, kick. There we go. Simple as that. It can be dodged, of course. It's not undodgeable, otherwise that would be pretty OP. So then the next thing is we have the Astro Flip Cancel. So cancel the recovery of any attack with your dodge button for an Astro Flip. Now this is where what I was saying about the animation team doing an insane job comes in, because she can do an attack and she can recovery cancel with an awesome cartwheel. So she can do a light like that, a light, and dodge to the left there. She can also dodge forward and dodge backwards. A little bit like Shinobi. That's about the closest hero to Afeera doing that move. She has omnidirectional recovery dodges, basically, to sum it up in a few words. So she can do heavy, heavy, she can keep doing it, and switch to a light, keep doing it. So you can basically dance around the battlefield like this. You can also switch targets. Obviously we just got one bot here, but you can switch targets and do that as well. So it looks pretty badass. I mean, I can't wait to do this in like 4 vs 4 modes specifically, because I think she's just going to be like cartwheeling all over the place. It's going to be pretty hectic and pretty chaotic, if it wasn't chaotic enough in Duels as it is. But anyway, that's the Astro Flip. Then also in Astro Flip, you can also press square after that, and then you can do a kick. Astro Flip, kick. Astro Flip, kick. Astro Flip, kick. You can also mix up some lights and heavies in there as well. Like that. The next move is Heat Death, which is after Seismic Shield, you press square or your guard break button. Basically, this is her superior block move. So if I quickly get this bot here to do a heavy attack, I will superior block it and press square. It looks like that. And you do actually get heavy after that. So, yeah. All those heavies have the different properties as well, depending on which side you throw it. So let's do it again. So do it from the top, it's undodgeable. From the left-hand side, it knocks her. And then from the right, it is unblockable. So yeah, you can see the sort of theme there with those moves. That's part of her unique character makeup, I should say. Finally, she has a zone attack, which comes out from the right-hand side, and it's basically R1 and R2 together, and it's called Oracle's Doom. And it looks like that. Does 12 damage, which is the same as a neutral light. The great thing about the zone, of course, is that even if they block it, you can still follow up with another attack. So if I quickly switch to block, get her to change guards there. If I did a light, I wouldn't be able to follow up with another attack after that. She's blocked it, and then they would have what's called frame advantage. and basically you can't do anything. But if I do a zone, I can then follow up with another attack. So it's a reasonably good opener. But of course they know that the zone can only come out from one side, so that's the drawback with that. And then finally, I think we've only got one more move, which is Oracle's Rush, which is basically your out of lock running attack move and pressing R2. So you can be running around and then press R2 and boom. Comes out from your right hand side, does 20 damage and is reasonably fast, great for chasing enemies who are likely going to be running away from you playing this character. Has pretty standard range on the attack. Yep, you get the idea. So the final thing actually, which I almost missed, is she has what a lot of people know as a crushing counter, which is basically if you do a light on the parry timing of an attack, you will do an unblockable version of your light. So let's get this bot here to do a heavy on me. And I'm going to do light on the parry timing. Gives you 18 damage. Top heavy is actually slightly slower. So there you go. So that is another option. As well as the superior block, which gets you the same amount of damage if you do the top version. It just gives you various different options. So there you go. So that is the full moveset. So she also has a few unique things on the left hand side here, which I want to just go over. So just to recap then, the hero specific heavy finisher properties are as follows. So Afeera possesses different properties depending on their stance. So top heavy is undodgeable, right heavy is unblockable, left heavy will stagger, otherwise known as pushing them to a certain side. In this case, it will push them to your right. Then we have red omen follow-up. So your heavy finisher is faster after a melee move and retains its property as well. So you'll always have those top heavy undodgeables, right heavy unblockables, and left heavy staggers. Then you have Fleet Foot. So when using your knockdown punch or speeding comet and the target is out of range, starts to run towards them. Fleet Foot from Speeding Comet has full block stance. So that was what I was talking about when I was mentioning her relentless knockdown. So basically she can run from a heck of a long way, and then basically she'll find an enemy and she'll do that. So you're locked on and boom, smacks him. And then you can follow up with a heavy. Depending on which side you choose, will also obviously have its properties. So right hand side unblockable, for example, there. Next thing, Fleet Foot cancel. So you can cancel Fleet Foot by pressing your feint button. Soft feint Fleet Foot with flips by pressing your dodge button. And then influence the side movement of Fleet Foot with left or right. So you can kind of control the movement. Like that, by going left or right. You can feint it like that. You can just keep sort of spamming the feint, which is it looks kind of funny, kind of goofy. But you might want to feint that many times and just completely mix them up. And then of course you can use your Astro Flip mid run. And then you can combo them out with some other moves, which, as we mentioned before, you can do from the Astro Flip. Knockout Punch cancels. You can cancel the start of Knockout Punch by pressing feint. So I personally think this is quite strong. So it's a neutral bash that can be feinted. So essentially, you just press feint after doing the backward GB. And you can do that quite a few times, and then GB them after, so they might try and dodge it. Or you can just do that as many times as you want, if that's how you want to play. And then after this, we have the superior block lights. So light openers and finishers have superior block, which is basically your crushing counters that we mentioned. Astro Flip is just press your dodge to cancel any attack recovery into an Astro Flip, as we mentioned. Astro Flip follow-ups during an Astro Flip, you can press square to perform an Astro Flip kick or use any chain starters. The seismic shield is the forward, left and right dodges having superior block, and then after the superior block you can press square to perform heat death, which you mentioned. And then finally she has revenge mode as well, which is not something that I'm sure many people are surprised of. So that is her full moveset. So personally, the whole thing with this character is just mixing up her Astro Flips and then her kick follow-ups, and then feinting this move as well, the neutral bash. So being aware of your surroundings, being aware of which moves you can do, feinting it. You can also do a bit of whiff tech here and go into the back kick like that. Has some decent range, I found. If you use this correctly, you're basically going to mix them up quite a lot. That's where the mix-up intensive part of her character description comes in, funnily enough. She can initiate with a bash like that, which is very, very useful to do. We'll talk about in a minute about how max punishes. That's probably going to be the next section, but yeah, you want to be bashing like that. You want to be flipping around, doing everything you can to mix them up as much as humanly possible before they just go crazy from your moves. But yeah, there's a lot of potential with this character, huge amount of potential, and I personally find it really, really fun, and I think you guys will too as well if you like a lot of intensity in your matches. Okay, so now we're going to talk about max punishes. Now the thing with Afeera that you need to know is that you want to have a wall to your right hand side as much as you can. You want to position yourself making sure a wall is to your right. Don't think I can make that clearer. And the reason is because your left hand heavy is the only one which will stagger, and it will knock them to your right. And if they hit the wall to your right, then they can't defend themselves. So let's get this little bot here to move their guard to the right. And then let's hit them with the chained heavy from the left hand side. Second one there hits them to a wall, and then you get another heavy there. So that second heavy, if it hits, that's 26 damage, and then you can get a free top heavy, which is another 27 damage. So that's quite a decent amount of damage. You can also get that from a kick. So that's quite a difficult mix-up there to get from the kick. So you can do a light kick and then smack him with the top heavy there. I like to just reposition myself there, but you can just kick and then not do the Astro Flip, but I kind of like the style points of it. The neutral bash also works as well. That's probably the quickest way and the least amount of hits you have to get on them to actually get the staggering hit from the left hand side. The range is pretty decent there. I was about on this other sort of circle here, the bigger one, and it still hit it to the wall. So that's something to note as well. You can also do your Astro Flip kick, and that'll stagger him. So let's do it from the front. And if they keep falling for it, then you're basically gonna keep smacking them like that. And if they don't block it, then they're gonna take a hell of a lot of damage. Obviously, they're probably not going to fall for that, so you want to mix up with a kick every now and then. Or you can feint that. Obviously, hit them with the top heavy first. So, next thing. What happens if they do a light and you parry it? Well, you guessed it, you get a heavy. But specifically, in this case for Afeera, it's a top heavy. So we can parry. Like that, we get 27 damage there. And nothing much more to say, really, on that. However, there is another max punish, which is even better than that. So if she does a light and you have a wall to your right hand side, I'm going to do something a bit different now. And you're going to see why. Let's get her near the wall. Get her a bit nearer. So there, basically, instead of doing the top heavy, I did a punch, which is guaranteed, smacked her from the left hand side, which pushes her to the right with the stagger, and that gets 16 damage, and then because she's staggered on the wall, I get another 27 damage. So from a light parry, that's a total of 43 damage. And some of you might be thinking, well, you could probably land that if you parry a heavy as well. Surely you're not going to get 43 damage from parrying a heavy. And actually, you might be correct in thinking that. Let's just see that now. So normally from a heavy, you would get a light, which you do. So there you go. I get 12 damage. However, if she's got a wall to her right, I can get a nice 43 damage from parrying her heavy, which is very, very spicy and quite a lot of damage. So if she's not near a wall, you can also get 18 damage from parrying a heavy by just doing that, followed by the top one. Doing the neutral bash followed by top, I should say. So you can keep parrying until you get near a wall. Then do the left hand one, get her to smack it, and then smack her with another top heavy like that. You can also use the superior block as well by dodging into it, a bit like a deflect. So let's get her to do a heavy again. And then that also guarantees your side left staggering heavy. You can also do it on lights, of course. But you might as well just do it on the heavies. Go for a parry. Of course, you need them to have the wall to their right, which is why I think parrying is better. If they're not near a wall, you can just do the top heavy, and that will get you 18 from that, which is slightly better than 16. 2 to be precise. So yeah, so those are your parry punishes. Now let's get this gal out of stand. And let's throw her around. Okay, so now we go on to out of stamina punishes. Now for the GB throw, it's a little bit more complex than other characters. There's a few little bits of detail that you need to know in order to get the maximum amount of damage. If you want to get every single bit you can in. So the max punish is to throw them behind you and do 2 heavies. Specifically, you want to get 2 top heavies, which will get you 55 damage. However, if you throw them behind you and your guard isn't already top, then you need to do a few changes in order to still get 2 heavies off. Obviously, if your guard is top, you throw them behind you, you're still going to get 2 top heavies, as you can see here. If your guard is to your right when you throw them, you'll have to switch your guard to the left and then do a top. If your guard is to the left and you throw them, you can keep it left and then do a second top heavy, but don't switch it to top, because top is slightly slower and it's just slow enough that you won't be able to get your second heavy. So I'll demonstrate that now, just for example. So say my guard is to the right, GB them, throw behind. I switch to the top here, to another top. They are able to get up for the second hit, so it removes a lot of damage you can do for the sake of just trying to get, you know, a top heavy there. So yeah, it won't work. You'll have to have your guard top when you throw them in order to get an immediate top heavy followed by a second top heavy. And that'll get you 55 damage for out of stamina, which is the maximum punish I believe she can do. So the next thing then is the parry punishes when out of stamina. So if they are bold enough to try and parry you when they are out of stamina, the best punish you can do is a right hand heavy followed by a top heavy. So if they try and parry me, I do right and then top. Slightly different to the throwing. If you just ignore the fact that we're not obviously throwing them, we're parrying them. You can't get a left heavy, you can't get a top heavy, even if you parry them top. So you can't just do 2 tops. It won't work. It has to be the right hand heavy because it is the quickest heavy, and the left hand heavy is too slow in this case. So you can't do left and then top. Only works from the right hand side. So if I parry top, switch to right, and then always follow up with that top heavy, and that'll get you 50 damage. So it's 5 less than if you throw them. So if it's a throw and your guard is starting top heavy, gets 55. If they try and parry, right hand heavy, and then followed by top for the 50 damage. So that is that in a nutshell. Also talking about max punishes, GB is also a max punish. It's GB with stamina, so max punish for that is a side left heavy. You can also get a right side heavy, but it will do 22 damage instead of the 24. And you might as well get 24 over 22 because it's the bigger number. So do the left side heavy, and that is your max punish. You won't be able to GB and do a top heavy. They will be able to block it before you're able to do the damage. However, if you do really want your top heavy and you have time to do it, you don't get ganked or something, you can throw them into a wall and get the top heavy. It's not 100% consistent though. Your opponent can block it if the wall is slightly too close, I think, in some circumstances. So if I throw her to the right here, see, she can actually block that there. So it has to be a little bit of distance between you and the wall to be able to get it more consistently. So let's try and bring her out a bit. There, you can get it there, but not all the time. I think if you throw them to the right and the wall's to the right, like this, that generally doesn't work. Yeah, they can block that. So that's just another thing to note that is useful. So the next bit, which is a lot of people's favourite part, which is the execution. She has 4 unique executions, and the first one looks a bit like this. I'm very sorry, bot, but needs must. Alright, so first one. Flip him over you, and then smack him in the head. And I think that just by eyeballing it, that looks like our quickest execution, so that's probably going to be the most useful if you're about to get attacked by another person. The next one looks something like this after I finish smacking her. Bonk. So quite a violent one, this. Wouldn't expect this kind of violence from a fairly slender Arabian woman. But there you go. She's pretty feisty. And then the next one. Let's continue the bonking here. So a kick, and then you throw the shield down. It's almost like a slow motion acrobatic move there, which is a bit different. And then the final one, which saved my personal favourite to last, which is the most acrobatic, and I think sort of shows her full skill level off to the max. Everything about her character kind of rolls into one with this. So you flip over her using your legs, then you have a brutal finish there with the shield and the mace to the head. So there we go. those are the 4 unique executions for the new hero. So now that we have shown off everything for this character in her moveset, so advanced moveset, I've shown you some tips and tricks as well as max punishes. We're going to set this bot to level 3 and I'm going to show you how a duel plays out and what sort of things you're going to have to look for to be able to react to this hero. So let's set it at bot level 3. I'm going to do my best to see what I can do in the duel and get some max punishes off as well. She can G in my astral flip there, as you can see. Crushing counter. She's going to do the max punish. There you go. So she's done it on me. Crushing counter. More attack there. I'm going to GB her flip. Not falling for my feints. She's going to fall for that though. She's going to bash me with the superior block Z-flex move. I'm going to dodge her kicks here. She will parry me. Let's see if I can get her to the wall so I can get max punish in at some point. Forgot about that kick actually. I always prefer to do the left hand heavy from that kick. Because of thinner a wall and you can horse button, of course. Get her to the wall for the max punish, because we've got the distance there. Doing that crushing counter on the heavy is the max punish when you're low on stand, by the way. If you make the correct read, of course. It's going to keep dodging my bash. Yeah, we're going to get a nice juicy max punish combo on her there. And I'm going to get stand for this. But we'll imagine that she just got executed from that. So there you go. That is how it looks in a mirror match duel. Obviously this was not a real player, it's just a bot. There'll be more reads in a player versus player match, but that was just to sort of give you a general idea of what the matches can look like. So I think that's going to be it for this session. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it was informative. Please let me know if you want me to do anything differently next time, or if I've missed anything, let me know in the comments as well. Also, if you enjoyed it, please let me know in the comments and leave a like if you want to as well. I always appreciate that. So yeah, overall, I think Afeera is going to be a very strong hero this season. I think she's going to be a good contender for duels, as well as 4 vs 4 as well. She has strong feats, which I didn't mention in this session. Her ability to run across the map very, very fast with full block is going to be an interesting thing to see how it plays out. And it's also going to be interesting to see how she can dance around and like do acrobatic flips essentially around different players, switching to and fro and getting damage in. Could get some awesome anti-ganking moments there as well. So subscribe if you want to see some more vids. There will be some more Afeera vids going very, very soon. Hope you have an amazing rest of the day, and I'll see you next time.